Welcome into Believe in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson, Anthony Armstrong, part of the Believe Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. And this week, look at Anthony with that lovely location behind him on a little beach vacation. Hope you like, comment, and follow the podcast. We appreciate that. And comment as well as, again, a lot of stuff happening in the NFL, Anthony. We'll get to some of the FanDuel stuff. Of course, FanDuel brings you this podcast each and every week with what's going on with the Rams, with that blockbuster trade, A.J. Brown out of division. But Commanders day 2 of the OTAs, or at least the second open one for the media, took place the other day, and we got a lot to chew on there. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I've sat back, and good to see you, Scott. I'm sitting amongst these pine trees. I told you, I feel like I'm in Augusta at the Masters,
Looks
and
like
the 19th hole is where you would catch me. Bring my own green jacket down here. You see, I got my green hoodie on, but I'm feeling good, actually. I'm feeling really good. I went back and listened to DQ, David Blough, Terry McLaurin, and even Josh Conerly Jr. Listen to that audio from before and after that first day of the second session of OTAs. And I get this level of excitement, right? You can kind of feel that there's something different that's bubbling around over there in Ashburn, Virginia, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing, right? And I think we had David Harrison on, and he was mentioning that it's not a team that's trying to lick their wounds from last year and prove that they're not that same iteration. They're more focused on creating something new. And I love that for them. And I love that for Commanders fans. I love that for everybody that's listening to Believe in Commanders, because that means we're going to have some interesting conversations going forward through the rest of this here off season and into the training camp. But where you want to start at today, I was thinking about Josh Conerly Jr. Just want to start with the young fella. He mentioned his diet. He's about the same weight, maybe 310 to 315, but he's got more muscle, less body fat. How do you think he's going to take on this challenge of his second season in the NFL?
Well, I thought he got better as the year went on. I mean, I think he was certainly – we heard his name last, which is always a positive, as you know, as an offensive lineman. You want to hear their names last because it means not stuff's going as bad. But, I think as the year went on, he obviously had baptism by fire early, faced a lot of really good defensive ends, dealt with a lot of stuff. But I think kid improved a lot. You can see why they're excited about him. I think that offensive line, is very exciting coming back with him. And obviously Tunsil getting his deal done. What they have on the interior. The big question, obviously, is still center. Is Allegretti going to be able to handle that load? But obviously, they got they've got really 6 starters when you look at the guards positions with the way that works out too. With the numbers they have there, they have guys you'd be comfortable as many as 6 of those guys starting. So I think that's good. But yeah, I think Conerly should feel good about him going into year 2 after what he did. And he's had a year in the NFL. He understands what it's all about. I think this is the type of offense too that could accentuate some more of his positives as well, with a little bit more Jaden Daniels in the center, more of that stretch, getting his, he can move, as we know. We remember those drills he was doing last year. You were doing them when you're popping up like that. I mean, this is a guy that can get out of motor too with some of those other athletic guys in the line. So I think that's exciting for this running game.
Yes, indeed. I'm with you. If it is going to be some sort of an outside zone or something where you need to get your tackles up on the second level quickly, this is going to play into Josh's favor there. He said he went out to Oregon. He went back and met with his old dietitian and chef, and they changed up his meal plan. And the good thing is that that's something he gets to bring back here. And one of the coolest things I heard, Scott, was that he trained with Laramie Tunsil down there in Alabama. He's going to go back down there to train with Laramie before training camp, after minicamp goes down. So he's definitely fully immersed in being a pro. And that was a common thread, I could say, is that everybody was committed. I think that one of the questions they asked to David Blough is there anything he's surprised with? He's like, everybody is like committed to this change and committed to making this offense go forward. So a lot of positivity right now, Scott, up there in
Well, I'd hope so. First of all, it's June. There better be. If there's not, you're in trouble. Now, last year, though, there wasn't at this time. Honestly, there was a cloud over the head because of the McLaurin contract, right? I mean, I think that really set things off on the wrong foot. I know, look, you can't go back in time, but, listening to Terry, I think he's, he understands business was business last year, and he's not going to dwell on it. But, man, it hurt the team. I mean, there's no question. And whether, you want to blame the ownership or the management for not doing it quicker, or his agent or Terry, whatever, doesn't matter. It was damaging. It put them off the wrong foot. That's why everybody's so excited about what's going on. It's good to see Terry McLaurin happy because he's not a bad guy. He had he had to do something that is uncomfortable for himself to better situation. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he had a really good year when he was on the field last year. He wasn't on it enough, and you have to wonder if missing that time hurt him. But I'd say the thing that really, I was hearing this word in my head last night when I went to bed after listening to all the press conferences, especially David Blough's, the word collaborative. Oh my God, collaborative. I mean, I don't know if you heard that once, you heard it 7,000 times in 10 minutes.
I got it written down in my notes. Collaboration. You heard it from about 4 or 5 different people.
Yeah.
But that's big though. We talked about that coming in, especially with how young David is. You know, everybody else around has to be like, do I want to listen to this 30-year-old? Right. Or, I love the fact that DQ said that David Blough went out and has been collaborative. He's went out and found, feedback from different coaches on the staff, what they've seen, what they've done. And one of the biggest ones that they mentioned was Wes Welker. Yeah. Wes Welker has a unique perspective of being a pass catcher for 2 of the greatest, if not the 2 best quarterbacks in NFL history. All right. When he's telling you, hey, this is probably how you should run this route, or hey, this is how Tommy reads it out, then you're probably going to listen to it. David, head coach, offensive coordinator, be damned. I'm listening to what Wes Welker has to say about this. So that's a lot of probably unexpected tutelage that you're getting added in here with him being full-time with the offense. So it just makes you that much more excited for how the offense is getting built out. And one of the other things that they said was a lot of ownership. Yeah. There's a lot of player ownership. And David Blough even mentioned that he got an offensive lineman shared a 2010 wing T tape with him to install some sort of new plays. So everybody's kind of getting to come up with some juju. Hey, I remember this play back in 2008, back in my time. And that's exciting. That makes you want to be a part of the offense because you know that at least you get to put your name in the hat, Scott. Maybe you don't get your play called or your number pulled, but at least you have an opportunity.
And I think the other thing that's interesting is he's like, we're trying to build the Commanders offense. We're not trying to build all the other places I've been offense, but he's going to take a little bit of all those concepts, right? They like some of the stuff Cliff did. They like some of the stuff certainly that he did with the Lions, I'm sure, other stops and other people like bringing in stuff. So that's what's interesting. And look, this is a blank canvas in a lot of ways. And I think this is why the Commanders, I don't know if you picked up on this, have been very very much asking the media to cooperate here. Let's not share too much on social media. Be careful what you're sharing. There's a lot of emphasis on what you can and cannot say over there right now if you're watching these practices. So they don't want a lot out there because they do have the element of surprise this year early. Like I think at the end level, I think we all understand it's going to look a lot like the Lions in the Bears, right? Because that's where Ben Johnson is really the guy that David Blough played the most under, understood or coached the most under, and learned the most under, I should say, and coached under Kingsbury. Then on the Durante Jones side, I think it's going to look a lot like Minnesota and maybe some other things too on defense. So I get it. It's new. Nobody's 100% sure what it's going to be. They don't want to have a lot of info out there. But, they're going to rep it. They're going to do all these different things in these practices. And by the way, some of the stuff people can tell you that's going on right now is not going to help you as an opponent in week 1 or 2 or 3 anyway, because they're trying everything. Like they're putting guys in all kinds of awkward, weird positions, and they're still figuring it out. So, it is funny the level of paranoia that runs in NFL franchises this time of year, when in reality everybody's doing the same stuff, which is just experimenting, right? Like just working on a lot of things and working on the fundamentals. But yet everybody's so damn terrified that a little ounce of information may get out there that might tip what might see come week 1 or week 2.
Man, you ain't telling a lie. You say that the way the tea leaves are rolling on FanDuel after that major trade of them grabbing Myles Garrett, their Super Bowl odds have jumped to plus 550. They're odds and far and away favorites over there on FanDuel after this trade. And I feel bad for Jared Verse, honestly. I'm like, man, you went from LA to Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out to Cleveland. No disrespect, but it's a difference in your location. I will say I've always wanted to acknowledge and point out that the Browns have some of the best groundskeepers, ground crews, great grass practice facilities. So that's something to take advantage of. Can't really talk about the winners too much.
Yeah, the winners aren't too
man, what do you think about that trade? It feels like the game's broken at this point.
Well, listen, I think both teams did the right thing. I think in the case of the the Browns, they made the right play. They can finish in last place with or without Myles Garrett. That doesn't matter. They're more than Myles Garrett having another, record sack-breaking season away from being good again. So they got that and weren't good anyway. They have no quarterback play. They don't have a quarterback in house that you trust. At least I don't. That's going to be the future. So they're going to have to get that quarterback. They've just increased the odds by getting the extra 1, a 2, and a 3 is huge. And they get a really good young player who doesn't make that much money in Jared Verse on defense. So it's not like they completely killed their defense by getting Jared Verse. They actually have guys probably getting pissed off, hungry, and all those things, coming in there. So I love it from that standpoint. Now, it's still the Browns. I have to say that. It's still the Browns. They'll probably screw it up because they always do. We've got decades of evidence and 2 different ownership groups that prove that they mess everything up. But at least the process is correct. And for the Rams, is it an overreaction in some ways? Maybe. But look, their defense stunk in the playoffs, right? Like they couldn't stop Sam Darnold. This does feel a little weird, right? We're in a place where this is what the Sam Darnold proofing of your team to get over the Seattle hump. I mean, come on, man. Are you serious? Are we living in this world? But from that standpoint,
hey man, that's where you at.
Myles Garrett on a real team for once. I'm excited to see it. He's never had a defense or an offense like this. Never had a other group of guys on defense like this. This is exciting to see Myles Garrett get a real chance to be on a legitimate Super Bowl contending football team. I will say though, I don't think it's a lock. It's still the NFL. Their backup quarterback situation doesn't make me feel very good at night if I'm Sean McVay, a bunch of 2 kids. Sorry. I would try to get Jacoby Brissett or somebody that might be available here soon. I know that that's probably gonna be tough. And the Cardinals won't want to deal in division with their old bosses, but still, man, you got to figure out a backup quarterback situation here. One of these veterans, man, out there, you start making some calls or get Jimmy G off the couch or whatever he's doing because you can't count on Stetson Bennett and Ty Simpson to carry you if something happens to Stafford because it could.
Man. Them couple of names that I didn't even think were still in the NFL. No disrespect. I've been wondering, I wonder where Bennett is. I didn't know he was still in the league, but he's still on the roster. Them getting Myles Garrett out there in LA, it just reminds me like when I would play Madden franchises, Scott, we would get to a certain point to where some guys' teams would just be overpowered. Right. Just they have star players everywhere. And then Myles being over there, and then they're hinting around that Aaron Donald may come back. They're trying to get him off the couch and out of the gym and over there in the facility. I feel sorry for the NFC West. Like y'all gonna have to deal with just that battering ram of a defense every single week. Just a battle. Trent Williams versus Myles Garrett. What a matchup. Twice a year. That'd be a beautiful thing to see. And it's going to be starting out there down in Melbourne. But I will say this. I want to go talk about one of our guys. I want to talk about 17. I want to talk about Mr. Terry McLaurin. My man said he's going to be out here running different routes, moving around, different locations, and doing all types of things to make sure he's able to get the ball and get these 10 targets. And the one thing about it, Scott, the dude seemed excited. He seemed excited. What do you expect from Terry McLaurin this season?
Huge things. I mean, we never saw him and Jaden, very long together last year, which was tough, because it obviously was a big part of why the season did not go well, the quarterback injury and then the wide receiver 1 injury. But I think it's exciting. I like the idea of moving him around. He's the true one. And I also thought something's interesting. We've talked so much about, oh, God, who do they have to go get? Stephon Diggs or, and Brandon Ayuk hasn't played in, a year and a half and all this other nonsense that we've discussed so far. But like what David Blough said, too, about the receiver room, how you build a receiver room. It's like an NBA team. You don't get just 5 scorers, right? Or a basketball team. You try to get people that complement one another. And that's what they're trying to do with their receiver room, right? Terry can be a speed guy. Terry can run all the routes. He can do whatever he wants. He's a true one, in this offense. Now, maybe there's not what you call a strong W2, but you also have wide receiver 2, but you also have a very good big tight end who's going to give you a little bit more than you had before. When you look at the guys out of the backfield, like Rashad White can do some of the stuff that Eckler did in a different kind of way, but he's a good receiver. So I thought that was interesting too. But yeah, look, this is one of the frustrations of the Kingsbury offense was it kind of became stagnant, right? And especially when the quarterback wasn't at his best health-wise, as it happened in year 1 when he got injured with the rib. And then, of course, last year we never really saw him on the field for more than a couple weeks at a time, it was pretty easy for teams to figure out pre-snap what was happening. So I think that part of it is exciting. And I think that's what I like about the situation with David Blough, even though he's inexperienced, he saw it, all the good and the bad up close and what happened here in the last 2 years. And he can pull, from that to figure out, okay, where's our blind spots? What worked, and why did Detroit consistently hit the marks offensively every week? Like what did they do well? And he pulls in all that experience. It'll be exciting for him to put it together and see what it ends up looking like.
Yeah, he's pulling from a lot of experience for sure. A lot of different places he's collaborating, right? That's the word of the day. They're collaborating. The big one, I loved hearing the fact that you have a multitude of route combinations, right? Multitude of formations, different ways to jump out there and challenge the defense, and to be hard to prepare for, right? Hard to prepare for. One thing about playing in this league is that you have to be, and I should say the best teams are one step ahead, one or two plays ahead of what you're doing, right? They're not necessarily guessing, but they have a counterpunch ready. Last year, they didn't have a counterpunch. They just seemed to get slugged and just had to take it. And then just, withered away and just fell into a 5-12 season. But this year, it's going to be more about bringing some firepower. It's going to be more about determining what's going to happen. And I think that on the defensive side, they say that they want the defense to dictate to the offense, but I feel like this offense is going to dictate to the defense more so. And it's not necessarily a physicality thing, but it's more so, it's like, oh, you think you got us here, but we're really going to go here. And now you're trying to chase us, and now we're back to here, right? So playing a little game of cat and mouse with the defense is going to be interesting. Love to see how David Blough is going to attack this season. One of his other weapons, DQ was speaking about this guy, the young running back, Bill Croskey-Merritt. Yeah, DQ was saying he wants to see him have some growth in the passing game and in the return game. That's very interesting. Want to see how he's going to affect the game a lot more. Made me think, what the hell is going to happen with Luke? What happens with Luke if the return game picks up from Bill? But what do you try to see from Bill in this here offseason?
Well, I think I've noticed too, he's been kind of limited, they say, in some of these reps. So hopefully that's nothing serious, number one, but it's only June. So I think you'd be probably.
It might be a science experiment that went wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm surmising, man. Got a little baking soda, vinegar, got a little burn. Got to be careful.
It's very good. Anthony Armstrong bringing in the Science and the Believing Commanders podcast, brought to you by FanDuel. We're part of the Believe Network. Please like, comment, and follow us. But yeah, going back to Bill, I could see, I feel like the new kickoff, the dynamic kickoff, is better built for running backs, just because of their body types and the hitting that goes on here. I think Luke got beat up bad, obviously, with the kickoff last year, even though he was good at it. You would see it, even like when Debo did it, right? Like, I didn't feel like it was dangerous for Debo to do it. Debo just wasn't as quick, but Debo, the physicality of it, I didn't feel like was going to hurt him. Like Eckler too. Now, Eckler did take a concussion, obviously, when he was here in his first year on the kickoff, but I just feel like it is better for running backs. If you got a running back who can do that and get up and go, I think that's the better route than a receiver. That's just me. I think punt-wise, you're going to have Jalen Lane back there. But I don't know. I think Luke is still, where he was before. He's he's going to be fighting to get on the field. Remember, at the end of the year, or before his injury, he was playing pretty well. I mean, this guy was like a touchdown maker last year. And, of course, the big play against the Chargers, one of the few games that offense really clicked on all levels with Jaden and playing a full game and Bill running it. So, yeah, I think, look, I think there's roles for all these guys. As I've said to you, I'm not sweating this, Brandon Ayuk stuff or Stephon Diggs. I think they could go into the season with what they have and be a very, very good offense. But they still got to go out and do it. But, yeah, these are again, things I'm sure they're going to work on all this stuff now and try to, throw it against the wall and see what happens. But I think all ideas are good ones at this point. Get these playmakers the ball as much as possible. But certainly Bill's an explosive guy.
Yeah, in that receiving room, I know talked about the running back room, but going back to the receiver room, they did release Ja'Cory Brooks, signed tight end Anthony Frisker, I should say. And so that one thing that all that ties back into the confidence and the votes of confidence that everybody's had about the receiver room. Maybe they don't need to go get a Stephon Diggs or Ayuk. When they were mentioning, Terry was mentioning that the receivers have to be smart and decisive with what they're doing, which means you need to be on the same page as your quarterback, which means that continuity and collaboration is at the utmost priority, right? You need to be around. DQ was saying that De'Ami Brown's connection with JD got back a lot quicker than he even expected it to have gotten. So That is
I kind of thought that
great
would
right
happen.
there.
I think that's what's been underappreciated about bringing him back. And again, here's a guy who's like, this got to hurt your pride, right? You went to the Jags on a 1-year show me, pretty good money. Thought, okay, got off to a good start, then it just fell off the cliff. Jacoby Myers came in there and it was the number one guy really as the year went on. Then Brian Thomas kind of got his act together, but yeah, man, that's got to be tough. A tough pill to swallow because he left here thinking he was going to hit it big in Jacksonville, comes back, but that's great because they did have a good connection. Remember, the reason he got that $10 million was the way he played in the playoffs with Jaded. I mean, they were really good together. Some huge plays made and some big spots in the Tampa game in particular, and of course the Detroit game. So I'm excited about that. And for Brooks, by the way, probably better for him, right? You've been in the spot as a young receiver where the room's loaded and you're like, they're bringing in new people, even though you thought you had a future there. Like, crap, what am I going to do? So now it gives him and his agent a minute or two to assess the market and get the calls and figure out what the best next step is for him. Because it does feel like, even though he flashed a lot in different spots and did some things, he never was really going to get a shot here, especially after they went out and brought Brown back, and even had Ben Jefferson on the top of that, assuming he can make the team. So I kind of think if Corey Brooks and you're in his spot, it's probably better to get moving now and try to find the next place.
Yeah. Best of luck to him. My biggest message would just say, and this is without seeing anything in practice, but generally it comes down to consistency. It comes down to consistency. If you're going to be able to flash, big plays, you got to be able to catch the hitch. You got to be able to catch the slant. You got to be able to get out there and block. And frankly, you never know, maybe the change in the offensive scheme. This sounds like it's an offensive scheme that's a little bit more verbose. It's a little bit has more some more words to it, but not a whole lot, right? When you're changing systems, it can be difficult. I've been through that before. Going from Washington, going to Miami, it was a no huddle system. I'm trying to make live translations in my head as I'm trying to line up and run a play. That's just not going to make you a successful player in this league. Couple more things, at least this one. This was something I was just looking on the Commanders website. Matt Golban is the only offensive lineman listed as a center. So for whatever it is.
Already is an all-purpose guy, I guess, because he plays guard and center. I don't know. That's interesting, though.
Well, it's only he's only listed as a guard,
funny.
So I'm gonna leave that to it not being updated from last year. So and if they go and update it tonight, then we know where they listened to it. So we appreciate the listen. Make sure y'all leave a comment while you're here. A little thank you, little hat tip would be great. And Game 1 NBA Finals is tonight. Knicks, Spurs. The Spurs are 4.5-point favorites in Game 1, and they're slight favorites in the overall finals. What do you think, Scott? Who you got in this series?
I like the Spurs. Well, I'm cheering for the Spurs for sure. I can't live in a world where the Knicks win a championship, Anthony. I don't think we're ready for their fan base. They're annoying enough. I mean, can you imagine they actually win something? How irritated these people will be. I would like the Spurs to win. I think they're the better team, but that was a grueling 7-game series they just went through. Here in Wemby on the day yesterday, talking about how they've got to get past that. Kind of has my antennas up a little bit. I don't know if that's just Wemby speak or if he's worried about that or not, but that's interesting. I think they are the better team. I do think the Knicks are capable. The Knicks have been playing great, but the Knicks have not played the same level of competition. I mean, these Knicks fans are high on whipping up on a sorry Eastern Conference this year, and it's just not the same. Beating James Harden and the quitter Cavaliers is not the same thing. And remember, the Knicks were down by 20-something points in the fourth quarter in Game 1 before the Cavaliers just threw up over themselves. So if there is that kind of rust tonight after this long layoff, I don't think the Spurs are going to hand it to them, okay? So this is an interesting one tonight. It's been a long layoff. Spurs have had a good 3 days off at this point. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about mentally. Are they ready? Like, hey, let's go. It's great that you beat the Thunder. That doesn't mean anything. That would be my only concern. But I think San Antonio's got more parts, but now they got to go out and show it. I like the big alien, man. I think he's legit. I don't think it's hype. I think he's the dude.
Yeah. He is legit. I will say that. But as a Mavs fan, I cannot cheer for the Spurs like that. I could cheer for the Spurs against the Thunder. I did not want the Thunder to get up there again. So now I have to take my fandom to the Knicks. I have to go cheer for the Knicks and Jalen Brunson. He was down here in Dallas. So, that's good to cheer for a former Mav going up there doing his thing. He bet on himself. And now he's going to be successful with it. But we got to get up out of this thing, man. OTA day number 2 is going down, catching up with Scott. beautiful weather out here. I might just stay out here and act like I'm on the podcast while everybody
By
else
the
is in
way,
there
just
thinking
one thing.
I'm doing some
I know we
work.
talked about it a ton this
What you got?
offseason, but now that it's done, thank God AJ Brown's out of the division.
Oh yes, that is
Thank you.
right. AJ Brown,
Thank you.
congratulations,
Thank you,
man. New resides. Thanks to Eagles. Thanks to Mike Vrabel and the Patriots for taking number 11 off of our plate. That's gonna make it a lot easier
Should be.
when you play against Philly week 1. And it might still be 4.5 point
Sure.
dogs over there on FanDuel. You can check that out. But this is Anthony Armstrong. That's Scott Jackson. We are Believing Commanders. Y'all make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share it with your family members, man. We appreciate you. We'll be back with another episode later on this week. Peace out.